The magic of ContentAware Fill, Move and Scale. In this tutorial, we will take a look at tools which help us remove distracting elements, which include the content awareness technology. They include ContentAware Fill, ContentAware Move, and ContentAware Scale. Firstly, we will start by using the ContentAware Fill to remove the lamp post and its shadow from this image. To make our selection, we can use any tool. So, we will select the lasso tool and just drag a selection around the lamp and the shadow. After that, we will choose Edit and then Fill, and for the contents, we will select Content Aware. We will keep the option Color Adaptation check on to help blend the colors properly around the selection. Once we click OK, we see that Photoshop has removed the lamp. We will use Ctrl+D in order to deselect. If we have gotten results which are not to our liking, we can try running the fill command again, because every time we run it, a different algorithm is generated by Photoshop and it will fill the contents using different areas from the image each time we run it. We will now move on to the next image of the birds. Here we will do two things, which are to remove the birds and then move this bird and replace those in this spot. First, we will select the lasso tool and make our selection, and then use Edit, Fill, Content Aware, and then click in the image area to deselect. We will drag a selection around this bird and switch over to the ContentAware Move tool. Position our cursor inside the selection and then drag and reposition it. After releasing the cursor, we get the bounding box, which enables us to transform this before dropping it. We can see the transformation handles, so if we feel like making this larger or smaller, we could just click and drag while holding the Shift key down to constrain proportions. We will tap Enter to apply that transformation. Then we hide our edges using Ctrl+H. While the selection is still active, if we need to change the structure or the color setting, we can do it to blend the patches area or the area that have been moved with the original background. Let us suppose that we have changed the structure down to 1. We can see that has been changed a little. If we move the structure up to 7, then it will try to mimic the original information as best as it can. Over here, we will be using a 4 or maybe a 5, as that is enough for us. If we get the slider all the way down to 0, we can see that it does not actually blend in with the sky. So, we will return back to a setting of 10 and then show our edges with Ctrl+H and deselect by clicking outside that area. We now not only have moved the bird, but also filled the area that the bird originally was in. We will now move on to the next image and try using the ContentAware Scale. In this particular example, it is better if we have a photograph that were cropped to a 1:1 aspect ratio or a square. But typically, that would distort the house when transforming the image. We will change the background to a layer by clicking on the lock icon in order to access the Edit menu. and then clicking on ContentAware Scale. In order to change the aspect ratio, we will drag the left and the right side in so that it looks closer to a square. We then notice that while doing so, the house gets squished a little bit, but it is not nearly the same as if we were using free transform. If we want to see the difference between using the regular free transform and the ContentAware Scale, we can just click on the amount and move it a little to the left. And this is what a house would look like if we use freeform. We can see that by using the ContentAware Scale that it is based on an algorithm. Photoshop now tries to scale down the areas that have been lower frequencies like the clouds in the background and leave the ones with higher frequencies like the roof of the building. This thing works in both directions. We not only can scale it left and right, but also bring down the top. That we see also scales the clouds a lot more than the foreground or the house. If there is anything in our image that we could like to protect, we can save a selection and then load it. Let us now click on the cancel icon and then switch over to the lasso tool by tapping L. We will go ahead and draw a loose selection around the house, and then we'll save that selection using the select menu. Save selection. We'll call it house and click OK. Now we will deselect, go back to the edit menu, choose ContentAware Scale and move over to the edge this time in order to scale our image. We will ask it to protect the saved selection called house. Now, even when we scale it down, we observe that Photoshop is saving the house. It does starts to look a little weird over here. So, let us now stretch it out a bit more in order to get rid of it. Now, to apply the ContentAware Scale, we will click on the check mark. As we have seen, Photoshop uses several tools with the ContentAware technology that can help us get rid of distracting elements in our images.